Hey guys, Jen here, Writing Tip Wednesday. Today I wanted to step outside the stuff that I usually talk about and to share a couple of tips related to some things that are coming as you get more into your writing career. So, some stuff that you're going to have to deal with as you get, more into your career, as you get a book out there finally, as you start to have some success with it. And I would like to talk about this stuff ahead of time because I think it's really useful to know what's coming so that you can kind of plan for it and so that it doesn't slap you in the face, come as a total shocker when it starts to happen as you get out there and as you start getting some success. So, the first thing I want to talk about is haters. So, this is and I'm extremely passionate about this topic today because I actually had a serious hater situation happen to me earlier today. And it kind of got to me in some ways, and not that I expect that to happen. I'm out there in the world. I've got a business. I'm on the internet. I'm a story coach. I work with people. I have books out there. I've created blog posts. I've done all this stuff, and so I'm out there. And because of that, there's always going to be people who don't like what I'm doing, who don't resonate with it, or whose buttons that I push when I say things or when I do things. And that's just going to happen. That's the nature of being online. It's the nature of being a writer. It's the nature of any business, really, or any type of creative work that you do. If you're going to put it out there, you're eventually going to get some haters and some people who want to knock you down and talk shit to you and call you names and tell you that you don't know what you're doing. And that's what this particular hater that I dealt with today did to me. So I got an email. I'm not going to go into all the details of it because it's just not necessary. I don't reply to haters. If I do, it's on a very rare occasion because it's something that I just have to. But honestly, the best tip I can give you for when you do get haters or when you get people who are starting to say things to you or, be rude and whatever, because it is going to happen at some point, and you can either let it take you down or you can understand that it's going to happen. It happens to everybody. And I like to see it as a sign of success. So I'm doing something right, because if I wasn't, there wouldn't be people hating it. So my biggest tip with haters is to ignore them. So don't even engage with them, because the whole thing is they think they're right. They're never going to be convinced otherwise. And even though they're totally off base and they have no fucking clue what they're talking about, you're never going to convince them of that. So the best thing that you can do is really just take a deep breath, step back, don't email them back or don't comment back if they're on Facebook or something. Just take a deep breath and realize that, you're doing something right and you're in a really good place, because if you were just being plain vanilla boring, no one would be hating on it, So the fact that you're going out there with a message and with, something that you're trying to do in your creative work, that's a big deal. And, so take it as a sign that you're doing something right. But don't engage with it. So whatever you do, just, what I ended up doing today was I blocked this person's email. I deleted them from my email list, and I'm not going to have any further contact with them. So that's it. It's over. But, it's going to happen. So just know that it's totally fine. And it's just part of being a writer and part of being an authorpreneur and being, online and selling your books and things like that. So don't let it get you down. It's hard, I know. It's very hard, and it's especially hard when it happens the first time. So, for me, it happened years ago when I first started my blog back in 2008. I had a couple of haters that came out of the woodwork to try to point out to me that I don't know what I'm talking about or whatever, and it's always going to happen. There's no way around it. So just find ways to deal with it, find ways to, just take a step back and really think about ways to learn from it. So sometimes for me, it's like, okay, what can I learn from this situation? What can I learn from what this person said? For me today, it was, I'm on the right track. I'm doing what I know I'm meant to be doing, and I'm pushing buttons, and that's a good thing to me. So I'm completely happy with it. And for me, the hater today was a lesson to tell me, I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right things, and I just got to keep going. So that's what I'm doing. And then the other thing is, and this is really important too, because I think especially when you're first starting out and as you're kind of getting your stuff out there or starting to develop an idea into a story, you want to remember that nothing's original anymore. So there's really nothing out there that you're going to come up with that's going to be brand new, that no one's ever talked about or mentioned before or anything like that, because it's just not possible at this point in our, the world that we live in. There's just so much stuff out there. And so nothing's really original. What becomes original is what you take from something and how you use it in your own way. So this particular hater that I had today was basically called me a con, told me that I ride Larry Brooks's coattails, that I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm really good at faking it, and that I can't help anybody, that I'm not a good story coach, just basically attacking me personally, and then actually threatened to put negative shit about me all over the internet if I responded to the email. Which is insanity. And really, when I read the email, it made me laugh because I thought, this is just so fucking ridiculous. Like, I can't even believe that a person would write this stuff. But anyhow, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think it's really important to note that, again, there is nothing original. So yes, I do teach Larry Brooks' stuff. And you know what? Larry Brooks teaches things that he learned from Sid Field and from, Blake Snyder and from Robert McKee. So he's riding on their coattails, basically. The whole idea is nothing's original. We all have to learn from somebody. We all have to be mentored by somebody. We learn things and we take things in, and we stand on the shoulders of the people that came before us, because that's how you learn, and that's how you take an idea and make your own version of it. So, Larry's way of making his own version of the stuff that he's learned in his life and his career is to create his story structure and to create, and he didn't create story structure in general, but just the way he talks about it and the terms that he uses are very specific to him and the things that he does. And then, of course, his 12, 6 core competencies and then 6 story physics. Those are all things that he created based on what he's learned from the classes he's taken and the teachers that he's worked with and all of that. So for me, I've learned from Larry, I've learned from, a lot of people, but Larry's the biggest one because he's the one that really said things in a way that made sense to me and changed my life in the fact that it all finally worked and I was able to use what I learned from him to actually get my novel out there and to publish it. So for me, what I bring to the table, my new thing that I do from what I learned from him is process. So I help people and I, use the stuff I've learned from him to create a process to actually take an idea and turn it into a full story plan and a story as a novel, So that's my unique angle to come to the table with. And, I explain things differently than he does because I'm me and I'm not going to explain it the same way that he does. And so, some people resonate more with him. Some people resonate more with me. Some people like having the combination. And that's the whole thing you have to remember. Nothing's original. None of us are doing things that are completely brand new. We're just taking things that have already been done and using our version of it and working our angle on it. And so just know that. And so when you have a story idea or you have something you're doing, something you're working on, just remember, it's okay to look at other examples that are out there and to see what other people have done that's worked and then use your own version of it. So I'm not saying copy something that someone else is doing, obviously, but get inspired by it and use it as a way to model a working story and use it generically to help you make your story better. People are always referring, when I talk to them, about their stories, they're always referring to things like, The Lovely Bones. They want to write a story that's narrated by somebody who's dead, because that's interesting and it's different. But they can't do it exactly that way, but they do their own version of it. So, it's pretty cool to just see how you take what came already before you and use it in your own way. So those are my writing tips for the day today, and I hope they're helpful to you. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments on how you deal with haters and how you deal with, taking ideas from other people and then creating your own thing from it. So definitely share them in the comments, and I will catch you next time.